He was on his knees in the bathroom working on the pipes under the sink when he turned his face and said, looking straight at me, holding my gaze, "Mrs. Helen, I'm going to have to work on it down below too." My entire body froze. His eyes stayed on mine a second longer than they needed to, and in that instant I understood two things at the same time. First, he was talking about the plumbing. Second, he knew exactly what those words had done to me. I'm 67 years old. I've been married for 42 years. And it had been so long since anyone looked at me that way that I thought I'd forgotten what it felt like. My name is Helen. I live in a quiet apartment in Riverside, Jacksonville, with a husband who only touches me when he thinks it's time. No kiss. No eye contact. No fire. And I thought I'd accepted that. I told myself that's just how things are after 60. That mature women don't feel these things anymore. But when that young man stood up, wiped his hands on the rag hanging from his belt and smiled at me, just slightly sideways, I realized something that terrified me. I still had a body. I was still a woman. And someone had just noticed. I spent my entire career as a hospital switchboard operator. 38 years sitting in a worn leather chair. Answering calls from desperate people. Transferring calls. Taking messages from doctors. Hearing cries over the phone at 3 in the morning. I was invisible. Nobody saw me. They only heard my voice. And when I got home, the invisibility continued. My husband, Robert, worked as a manager at a construction supply company. Serious man. Firm voice. An opinion about everything. He'd always been that way, controlling, methodical, cold. When we married, I thought that was strength. I thought it meant security. But over time, I learned it wasn't strength. It was indifference. He didn't look at me. He saw me the way you see furniture, as part of the house. Like the refrigerator. Like the couch. I was there, but I didn't matter. Sometimes he touched me, but it was always mechanical. Technical. Like fulfilling an obligation. Like signing a form. No lingering kiss. No meeting my eyes. No asking if I felt anything at all. I would turn toward the wall, stare at the bedroom paint, and think, this is it. This is how it will be until the end. The worst part was that I started to believe the problem was me. My body had changed. My skin wasn't firm anymore. My hair was gray. My waist had disappeared. I'd stand in front of the mirror and think, who would want this? Who could feel desire for a 67-year-old woman? I was certain no one would ever look at me that way again, the way a man looks at a woman, the way that makes your body wake up. Until that day. The shower in the guest bathroom had started dripping. Robert complained twice. Said I should have taken better care of it, that it was wasting water. He didn't fix it. He never fixed anything. He just complained. So I called a technician my neighbor had recommended. A young guy, she'd said. Does good work. Fair prices. He arrived Tuesday morning at 9:30 and knocked on the door. When I opened it, I found myself face to face with a man in his early 30s. Baseball cap turned backward. Tight black t-shirt. Tool backpack slung over his shoulders. He smiled. Not the polite, practiced smile of someone doing a job, but a real one. Like he was genuinely happy to see me. You Mrs. Helen? I could only nod. Daniel, he said. I'm here to check out the shower. From the moment he stepped inside, something shifted in the air. It wasn't just his presence. It was the way he looked at me. As if I existed. As if he actually saw me. I showed him the bathroom. He set down his backpack, took out his tools, and knelt on the cold tile floor, checking the pipes, testing the pressure. I stood in the doorway, suddenly unsure what to do with my hands. You live alone? He asked, not looking up. No. My husband works all day. He glanced back at me over his shoulder. And in that look there was something. I can't explain it. Felt like he understood everything. Like my entire life was contained in that one answer. He went back to work. I stayed there watching. His shoulders were broad beneath the t-shirt. His hands steady and strong on the wrench. I couldn't stop myself from looking. When I realized what I was doing, shame flushed up my neck. This is ridiculous, Helen, I told myself. You're too old for this. But my body didn't care. It was responding. Waking up. Feeling things I thought had died years ago. Daniel stood, wiped his hands and said, The problem's down here. I'm going to have to open up the trap. Should take about 20 minutes. Okay, I said. Take your time. But when he bent down again, I had to leave. I went into the kitchen, put water on to boil, tried to breathe. My heart was racing. My hands were trembling. I didn't understand it. I was married. I was 67. He could have been my son. None of it made sense. And yet it did. For the first time in decades, I felt desire. Real desire. Old, deep, dangerous desire. The kind you feel when you're young and think the whole world fits inside a kiss. I thought I'd lost it forever. And suddenly there it was, alive, pulsing, undeniable. Daniel came out 20 minutes later, packing his tools away. I was in the kitchen pretending to rearrange a cabinet, trying to look normal. He stood in the doorway, wiping his hands on the rag. All done, Mrs. Helen. Working perfectly now. How much do I owe you? I asked, forcing a smile. He gave me a fair price. I took the money from my purse and handed it to him. Our fingers brushed. The shock was real. I felt it, and so did he. I saw it in his eyes. He didn't look away. Thank you, I said too quickly. You're welcome. He pocketed the money but didn't leave. Just stood there, looking at me like he was deciding something. Then that sideways smile appeared again. If you need anything else, he said slowly, anything at all, you can call me. Then he left. I closed the door, leaned against it, and took a long breath. It's over, I told myself. Done. He won't come back. But the next day he did. I was watering plants on the balcony when the doorbell rang. I opened the door and nearly dropped the watering can. Daniel stood there. Same backpack, gray t-shirt, baseball cap. But this time his smile was different, more confident, more intentional. Hi, Mrs. Helen, he said. I couldn't speak. Sorry to just show up, he added. But I forgot a tool here yesterday. A socket wrench. Didn't realize until this morning. I blinked, trying to steady myself. Oh, of course, I said. Come in. He came in and walked past me again, and this time I caught his scent. Soap. Clean clothes. Man. A smell I hadn't experienced in so long it almost hurt. Daniel went straight to the bathroom. I stayed in the living room, arms crossed, trying to understand what was happening. A few minutes later he came back with the wrench in his hand. Found it. But he didn't leave. He just stood there in the middle of the living room, looking at me. Then he said something that changed everything. Mrs. Helen, can I ask you something? My heart started racing. Sure. He took a step forward. Not too close, but close enough for me to feel his presence. Why were you so nervous yesterday? I froze. I wasn't nervous. He tilted his head, unconvinced. You were. I noticed. I didn't know what to say. My mouth was dry. My whole body was tense. Then he continued. I also noticed something else. Silence. I noticed that you're alone, even though you live with someone. It hit me like a punch to the stomach. Because it was true. And he had seen it in less than an hour inside my house. That young man had seen what Robert hadn't seen in 42 years. My eyes burned. I turned my face away. You don't know anything about me. I do, he said softly. I know because I saw it. I saw it in the way you move. In the way you look away. In the way you tremble when someone gets close. He paused. You're fading away, Mrs. Helen. And I don't think you should be. I took a deep breath, trying to hold back the tears. Why did you come back? I asked, my voice breaking. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, because yesterday when I was leaving, your husband came home. My blood froze. What? He pulled up in his car, stopped right in front of the building. I was going down the stairs. He saw me coming out of the elevator with my tool bag and asked who I was. I explained. Told him I'd come to fix the shower. Daniel crossed his arms. For the first time I saw anger in his face. You know what he said? I shook my head, speechless. He said, oh right. Finally she did something useful. That woman's good for nothing except spending my money. And then he laughed. He laughed, Mrs. Helen. Like it was a joke. My chest tightened. Tears fell, not because it was new but because someone had heard it. Someone had witnessed it. And that made it all more real. More painful. I got angry, Daniel said. Angry at a man who has a woman like you at home and treats her that way. And I kept thinking all night. Does she know how much she's worth? My voice came out barely audible. Why are you telling me this? He held my gaze firm and tense. Because I came back here to tell you something, Mrs. Helen. Heavy silence. You're still a woman. You're still beautiful. And if he doesn't see that, the problem isn't you. It's him. I sobbed. I couldn't hold it back. I covered my face with my hands. Daniel didn't touch me. He didn't try to console me. He just stayed. Respected my tears. When I finally calmed down, I wiped my face with the back of my hand and looked at him. You shouldn't have come back. He smiled sad, sincere. I know. But I came back anyway. Then he left. But this time I knew it wasn't the end. Because something had started. And I couldn't pretend I didn't feel it anymore. I spent the rest of the day in a trance, sitting on the couch staring at the wall, seeing nothing. My body trembling inside. My heart beating off rhythm. My mind spinning around his words. You're still a woman. You're still beautiful. No one had said that to me in so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to hear it. What it felt like to believe it. What it felt like to feel seen. Robert got home at 7 as usual. Came in without greeting me. Tossed his briefcase on the couch. Went straight to the bathroom. Came back, sat in the armchair, turned on the television. Didn't even look at me. I sat on the other side of the living room watching him, trying to understand how I had spent 42 years next to a man who never looked at me the way Daniel had in less than 2 days. Robert had been handsome when I married him. Serious but handsome. And I thought that was enough. I thought a man who worked, paid the bills, didn't drink, didn't disappear from home. That was everything a woman needed. I didn't know there was something else. I didn't know desire existed. That fire existed. That crazy thing where your whole body wakes up just because someone looks at you differently. I didn't know. And now that I knew, I couldn't unsee it. That night Robert approached me. He did that sometimes, without warning, without romance. He just decided it was time. He touched my shoulder while I was in the kitchen putting away dishes. Let's go to the bedroom. It wasn't an invitation. It was an order. I put down the dish towel, turned off the light, and followed him like I always had. For decades. Without questioning. Without complaining. Without feeling anything except obligation. I lay on the bed. He came on top of me. No kiss. No looking into my eyes. No asking if I wanted to. No asking if I felt anything. He just did it. Mechanical. Quick. Empty. And for the first time in my life I felt disgusted. Not with him, with myself. Because while he moved, I closed my eyes and thought of Daniel. His hands. His smell. The way he looked at me. The way he spoke to me like I mattered. Like I was more than furniture in my own house. And the worst part. My body responded. My body responded while thinking of another man. When Robert finished, rolled to the side, and fell asleep within 2 minutes, as always, I lay there staring at the ceiling, guilt crushing my chest until I could barely breathe. My God, what am I doing? I was married. I was 67 years old. I was respectable, church-going, family-oriented. And there I was, feeling things for a young man the age of my son. Did you think about me last night? I dropped the phone. It slipped from my fingers and landed in my lap. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears, because the answer was yes, and he already knew it. I picked the phone back up and stared at the screen. At that impossible question. At the truth I wasn't supposed to admit. But my hands betrayed me. They typed on their own. Yes. I hit send before I could stop myself. His response came seconds later. I thought about you too. I closed my eyes, and in that exact moment I knew I was stepping into something dangerous. Something forbidden. Something that could destroy me. But for the first time in 42 years I felt alive. The next 3 days were filled with messages from Daniel. Short ones. Simple ones. Nothing excessive. Yet every single one lit me up inside in a way I hadn't known still existed. Good morning, Mrs. Helen. Did you eat breakfast yet? How was your day? It's raining there. We're getting a storm here. Ordinary words. Everyday things. But written by someone who actually wanted to know. Someone who saw me. Someone who asked because they cared. Robert hadn't asked me things like that in years. Robert didn't ask anything at all. And with a tightness in my chest, I realized I was beginning to wait for Daniel's messages more than I waited for my own husband to come home. On Thursday, Daniel sent Mrs. Helen, can I ask you something? I was in the kitchen peeling potatoes for lunch. I stopped, dried my hands on my apron, and opened the message with my heart racing. Sure. I want to see you again. My stomach turned. I stared at the words, read them, reread them, trying to decide whether this was real or if I was losing my mind. Daniel, you know I'm married. I know. But that doesn't change what I feel when I think about you. My breath caught. What do you feel? 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Appeared again. Finally the message came through. I want to be near you. That's all. Just near. I closed my eyes, braced both hands on the sink, and took 3 slow breaths. Then before reason could stop me, I typed, Robert's traveling tomorrow. He'll be gone until Sunday. I hit send. I waited. His response came fast. Can I come over? I should have said no. I should have blocked the number. Deleted everything. Pretended this never happened. But I didn't. I typed yes. Robert left Friday morning at 6:30. Small suitcase. Suit on a hanger. Briefcase under his arm. Business meeting in Orlando. Back Sunday night. He didn't say goodbye. Just have my lunch ready for Sunday. And then the door closed. I stood in the hallway listening to the sound of it shutting. The silence afterward was so heavy it felt like it might crush me. For a moment I considered calling Daniel. Telling him I'd changed my mind. That it was crazy. That I couldn't do this. Then my phone vibrated. Can I come now? My heart raced. Yes. He arrived 30 minutes later. I changed clothes 3 times. Fixed my hair. Put cream on my hands. Sprayed perfume on my neck. And hated myself for every single one of those things. You're getting dressed up for him like a teenager, I thought, staring at my reflection. You should be ashamed. But when the doorbell rang, the shame vanished. I opened the door. There he was. Daniel. Jean shorts. White t-shirt. Cap in his hand. Hair slightly messy. Eyes locked on mine. And that smile. That smile that melted everything. Hi, he said softly. Hi. We stood there too long just looking at each other until he finally asked, Can I come in? I stepped aside. This time I knew exactly what I was doing. Daniel didn't go to the bathroom. Didn't grab any tools. Didn't pretend he was there for work. He walked straight to the living room, sat on the couch and looked at me waiting. I stood there with my arms crossed, trying to look composed, while my entire body trembled. Do you want some coffee? I asked because I didn't know what else to say. He shook his head. No. I just want to talk to you. I sat at the opposite end of the couch. Far. Safe. He didn't seem to mind. Mrs. Helen. Helen, I corrected. Just Helen. He smiled. Helen, I need to tell you something. My stomach tightened. Go ahead. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. Since I left here on Tuesday, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. My heart pounded. Daniel. Let me finish. He looked up at me, eyes steady. I know it's wrong. I know you're married. I know I shouldn't be here. But every time I close my eyes, I see you. The way you look at the floor when you're nervous. The way you wring your hands. The sadness in your eyes. And I want to take it away. The tears came without permission. You can't, I whispered. Nobody can. I can try. He moved closer. Slowly. Respectfully. But determined. Close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body. Helen, he said quietly. When was the last time someone really touched you? I broke. It's been so long, I sobbed. I don't even remember. He lifted his hand, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers brushed my cheek. Soft. Warm. Real. I fell apart. I cried until my whole body shook, and Daniel pulled me into his arms. He held my head against his chest and let me cry without rushing me. Without judgment. Wanting nothing but to comfort me. And there in his arms I made the most dangerous decision of my life. I wasn't going to send him away. Not this time. I stayed curled against him, trembling, feeling his chest rise and fall. Feeling his hand stroke my hair like someone soothing a frightened child. For the first time in decades, I felt safe. Not protected. Safe is different. Safe to be seen. Safe to be heard. Safe to be a woman. When I finally calmed, I lifted my head and wiped my face. I looked at him, and the way he looked at me made heat bloom through my body. It wasn't pity. It was desire. "I'm sorry," I murmured. "I didn't mean to fall apart." "Don't apologize." His thumb brushed beneath my eye, wiping away a tear. "You have a right to cry. You have a right to feel." I laughed softly, bitterly. I didn't even know that right still existed. He cupped my face with both hands, firm and warm. "Helen, I didn't come here just to comfort you." My heart stopped. "I came because I want you." "Daniel, I know exactly what I'm saying." He moved closer, so close I could feel his breath. "I want you the way a man wants a woman, the way you deserve to be wanted." I shook my head, trying to pull back, but he held me gently in place. "I'm old." "So what?" "I'm 67. "So what?" "My body isn't what it used to be." He kissed me. No warning. No permission. Just a kiss that stopped the world. I had forgotten what it felt like to be kissed with hunger, with fire, with want. Daniel kissed me like I was the only woman alive. Slow at first. Exploring. Then deeper. Desperate. When I opened my mouth, the kiss changed completely. His hand slid to my waist, pulling me closer. I moaned, soft, shocked by the sound of myself, and he held me tighter. Suddenly I was on his lap. Legs on either side of him. His hands firm at my waist. "My God," I whispered. "Helen," he murmured against my lips. "We can't." "Why?" "Because I'm married." He stopped and looked straight into my eyes. "You're married to a man who doesn't see you, doesn't touch you, doesn't want you." His hand slid slowly up my thigh. "But I do." I was shaking. "You're free," he whispered. "You just don't know it yet." I closed my eyes, threw my head back, and felt his mouth on my skin. And for the first time in 42 years, I allowed myself to feel desire, to feel want, to feel fire. My hands rose on their own, grabbing his shoulders, his back, his hair, pulling him closer as if I wanted to merge our bodies into one. Daniel moaned, a low, rough sound, almost animal. And that was what truly set me on fire. I didn't know I was still capable of provoking that in someone. I didn't know I was still capable of being desired that way. Then the phone rang. The shrill, sharp sound cut through the air like a knife. I stopped, froze, opened my eyes, gasping. Daniel stopped too, but he didn't let me go. "Let it ring," he said, his voice thick. I shook my head. "It might be important." "Daniel, I need to answer it." He let me go slowly, reluctantly. I got up from his lap, my legs wobbly, my whole body trembling, and went to the landline phone on the corner table. I answered. "Hello, Helen." My blood froze. It was Robert. "Hi," I said, trying to control my voice, trying not to sound out of breath, trying not to sound guilty. "You okay? Your voice sounds weird." "I'm fine. I was just cleaning the house." "Oh." He didn't even sound interested. "I'm calling to let you know the meeting got postponed. I'm coming back tonight." My stomach dropped. "Tonight?" "Yeah. I'll be there around 9. Have dinner ready." And he hung up. No goodbye. No kiss. Nothing. I stood there with the phone still in my hand, staring at nothing. Daniel got up from the couch and came toward me. "What happened?" I turned to him and felt the tears rise again. "He's coming back tonight." Daniel clenched his jaw. "Tonight." Silence fell heavy between us. He ran a hand over his face, took a deep breath, then looked at me and said, "Then we have all day." I blinked. "What?" He stepped closer and took my hand. "We have all day, Helen. You and me. Here. Alone." He squeezed my hand. "And I'm not going to waste a single second of it." I should have sent him away. I should have said it was crazy. I should have remembered that I was married, that I had a life, that I couldn't throw everything away for one afternoon of desire. But I didn't, because for the first time in 67 years I chose myself. I held his hand and said, "Stay." We didn't go to the bedroom. Not immediately. Before anything else, Daniel did something no one had ever done for me. He asked me what I wanted. We sat on the couch again, facing each other. He held my hands and looked straight into my eyes. "Helen, before anything else, I need to know. What do you want?" I was speechless. I don't know." "Yes, you do." He traced my hand with his thumb. "You're just afraid to say it." I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and finally admitted it. I want to feel alive again. He smiled slow, warm, dangerous. Then I'm going to make you feel alive. And that's exactly what he did. Daniel didn't rush. He didn't throw me onto the bed. He didn't tear off my clothes or act desperate. He was slow, intentional, attentive. He kissed me again, but this time it was different, deeper, softer, as if he wanted to memorize the taste of me. He unbuttoned my blouse one button at a time, never breaking eye contact, silently asking permission with every movement. When I stood there in my bra, vulnerable and exposed, he didn't look away. He looked at me as if I were the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "You're perfect," he said. And I believed him. For the first time in my life, I believed him. We spent the entire afternoon together, in the living room, on the couch, on the floor, wrapped in each other's arms. When the sun finally began to set, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. I had tasted freedom and there was no going back. It was almost 7 in the evening when we have all day, Helen. You and me. Here. Alone. He squeezed my hand. And I'm not going to waste a single second of it. I should have sent him away. I should have said it was crazy. I should have remembered that I was married, that I had a life, that I couldn't throw everything away for one afternoon of desire. But I didn't. Because for the first time in 67 years I chose myself. I held his hand and said, "Stay." We didn't go to the bedroom. Not immediately. Before anything else, Daniel did something no one had ever done for me. He asked me what I wanted. We sat on the couch again, facing each other. He held my hands and looked straight into my eyes. "Helen, before anything else, I need to know. What do you want?" I was speechless. I don't know." "Yes, you do." He traced my hand with his thumb. "You're just afraid to say it." I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and finally admitted it. "I want to feel alive again." He smiled slow, warm, dangerous. "Then I'm going to make you feel alive." And that's exactly what he did. Daniel didn't rush. He didn't throw me onto the bed. He didn't tear off my clothes or act desperate. He was slow, intentional, attentive. He kissed me again, but this time it was different, deeper, softer, as if he wanted to memorize the taste of me. He unbuttoned my blouse one button at a time, never breaking eye contact, silently asking permission with every movement. When I stood there in my bra, vulnerable and exposed, he didn't look away. He looked at me as if I were the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "You're perfect," he said. And I believed him. For the first time in my life, I believed him. We spent the entire afternoon together, in the living room, on the couch, on the floor, wrapped in each other's arms. When the sun finally began to set, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. I had tasted freedom and there was no going back. It was almost 7 in the evening when we finally stood up. My body felt light, warm, alive, like every cell had awakened from a deep sleep. I looked at him, messy hair, wrinkled t-shirt, that tired smile, and felt a sharp ache in my chest because I knew he was leaving. And I knew that maybe this would never happen again. Daniel stretched and looked at me. "I need to go." I nodded, trying to hide the tightness in my throat. "I know." He came closer, cupped my face in both hands, and kissed my forehead, slow and tender. "Helen, this wasn't just one afternoon for me." I closed my eyes. "It wasn't for me either. I want to see you again." I opened my eyes, and for the first time I felt real fear. Because this wasn't just desire anymore. It was something else, something bigger, more dangerous, more real. "Daniel, I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why?" He tilted his head, searching my face. "Because you're married?" "Yes." He stepped back, crossing his arms. "Then I need to tell you something." My heart raced. "What?" He looked at the floor, took a deep breath, and when he looked up again, his gaze was heavy. "I didn't come here by accident." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "That day, the day I came to fix the shower. It wasn't the first time I'd seen you." My stomach turned. "What?" He stepped closer, carefully, as if afraid of frightening me. "I'd seen you before, Helen. 3 times." "Where?" "At the bakery on the corner. Every Tuesday morning. Same time. Always alone." He swallowed. "You always look so sad. Like you were there, but you weren't." A chill ran up my spine. "You followed me?" "No," he shook his head quickly. "Never. But I asked about you." My blood froze. "Who?" Mrs. Patricia, the bakery owner. I knew her, gossipy, talkative, someone who knew everyone's business. What did she tell you? Daniel looked away. She said you were married. Said your husband was a difficult man. Said you lived alone even though you didn't. Said no one ever saw you smile. Tears started falling without me being able to stop them. And why did you want to know? I asked. He looked at me again, and the intensity in his gaze knocked the air out of my lungs. Because I couldn't stop thinking about you, Helen. I took a deep breath trying to process this. So that day with the shower. My voice trembled. I asked your neighbor to recommend me, he admitted without looking away. I knew you'd called a technician before. I knew the guy had left the job half done. And I offered to finish it for free. My world spun. You set this up. I created an opportunity. He took a step forward. Because I needed to meet you. Needed to know if what I felt when I saw you at the bakery was real. I put my hand to my mouth, shocked, confused, torn between anger and something I couldn't name. Daniel, this is wrong. I know. He swallowed. I know it seems crazy. I know it sounds like an obsession. But Helen, I swear to you. He knelt in front of me and took my hands. I swear that when I came in here that day and saw you up close, heard your voice, felt your presence, I knew. Knew what? My voice came out shaky. That I wasn't going to be able to stay away from you. A heavy silence fell between us. I looked at him, at the man kneeling in front of me. The man who had given me the most intense afternoon of my life. The man who had made me feel alive again. And I didn't know if I should feel angry or grateful. You should have told me this before. I know. He squeezed my hands. But I was afraid. Afraid you'd send me away. Afraid you'd think I was crazy. Afraid of losing the chance to really meet you. I pulled one of my hands free, pressed it to my forehead and took a deep breath. Daniel, I don't know what to do with this. Don't do anything. He stood up and held my face gently. Just don't hate me. Please. I looked into his eyes and saw truth. I saw fear. I saw regret. But I also saw love. Real love. And that scared me more than anything. I need you to leave, I said, my voice breaking. He nodded slowly, heavily. Okay. He grabbed his backpack, went to the door and turned back one last time. Helen, I don't regret it. Nothing. And if you want to see me again, I'll be waiting. Then he left. The door closed and I collapsed onto the floor. I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried in years. Sitting there in the middle of the living room, hugging my knees, rocking back and forth. Because everything had changed. Daniel wasn't just a young man who had appeared in my life by accident. He had chosen me. He had seen me. He had looked for me. He had created a way to enter my life. And now I didn't know what was real anymore. Did he really want me? Or was I just a project? A sad woman he wanted to save? Was this love? Or was it pity? I didn't know. And that destroyed me. At 9 that night, Robert arrived. He came through the door, dropped his suitcase on the floor, took off his jacket and hung it on the rack. Where's dinner? I stood up from the kitchen chair. I'd washed my face 3 times, fixed my hair, changed my clothes, but inside I was shattered. It's ready. I'll heat it up. I put his plate on the table. He sat down and ate without looking at me, without asking how I was, without noticing that something huge had changed. I sat across from him, watching him. And in that moment I realized Robert was never going to see me. Because he never had. Not at the beginning. Not in the middle. Not now. I was invisible to him. I always had been. But to Daniel I wasn't. To Daniel I was a woman. I was desire. I was important. And for the first time I understood the difference. That night, lying next to Robert as he slept heavily, snoring loudly, I grabbed my phone and opened my messages. Daniel, I don't hate you. I waited. 3 minutes later the response came. Are you okay? No. What can I do? I took a deep breath and before I could regret it I typed, I want to see you again. The response came instantly. When? And I realized I had just crossed a line. A line with no going back. Because this wasn't just one afternoon anymore. It wasn't just desire. It was a choice. And I was choosing him. Even knowing it could destroy me. Even knowing it could end me. I was choosing to feel. I was choosing to live. I was choosing to be free. For the first time in 67 years. The following days were torture. Robert was home, physically present, absent in everything else. He woke up, had breakfast, went to work, came back, had dinner, watched television, and slept. The same routine as always. Like a broken clock that still marks the hours but doesn't feel time passing. And I was on fire, inside, outside, in every thought, in every breath. I exchanged messages with Daniel in secret. In the bathroom. In the kitchen. On the balcony. Always with my heart racing. Always afraid of being discovered. Good morning, beautiful. I'm dying to see you. When are we going to see each other again? And I replied because I couldn't stay away anymore. I miss you too. I don't know when. He won't leave the house. But I want to see you. I need to see you. And it was true. I needed to. As if he were air. As if I'd spent my whole life holding my breath and now finally I could breathe. But the guilt was eating me alive. Every time Robert touched me, mechanical, empty, obligatory, I closed my eyes and saw Daniel. And I hated myself for it. Hated myself for cheating. Hated myself for feeling. Hated myself for not hating myself enough. Until one Thursday afternoon, everything changed. Robert came home early. 3 in the afternoon. I was in the kitchen looking at my phone, smiling at a message from Daniel, when I heard the key turning in the lock. My heart stopped. I locked the screen, shoved the phone into my apron pocket, noticing my expression. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage and said, "We need to stop this." His smile vanished. "What?" "This. Daniel. You and me. We need to stop." He shook his head, confused. "Helen. What are you talking about?" "Robert's suspicious," I said. "He noticed I'm different. He asked me if I'd met someone." Daniel took a step forward. "And you denied it?" "Of course I denied it." "Then what's the problem?" "The problem," I said, my voice louder than I wanted, "is that he knows, Daniel. He may not be sure yet, but he knows. And if he finds out, if he really finds out, what's he going to do?" Daniel crossed his arms. "Hit you. Curse you. Humiliate you." I looked away. "He already does that." Daniel took another step closer. "Then why are you afraid?" "Because," my voice broke as tears rose. "Because I don't know how to live alone, Daniel. I spent my whole life being a wife, being a homemaker, being invisible. I don't know who I am without that. You do know." He held my face gently. "You're Helen. You're strong. You're beautiful. You're free." I shook my head, crying. "I'm not free. I never was." "Then be free now." "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is." He pulled me close. "You just have to choose." I pushed him away, anger and desperation colliding. "Choose what, Daniel? Choose you? Choose to throw away 42 years of marriage? Choose to become what? The old lady who left her husband for a younger man? The family shame? No." He held my shoulders firmly. "Choose yourself. Choose to be happy. Choose to really live before it's too late." I sobbed. "I'm 67 years old, Daniel. It's already too late." "It's not." He pressed his forehead to mine. "It's never too late to be free." Then he kissed me. It was a desperate kiss, intense, heavy with everything we couldn't say. And I kissed him back because no matter how much I tried to deny it, no matter how much I tried to resist, I wanted him. I wanted him more than anything. We went to the bedroom. For the first time, to my bedroom. To the bed I'd shared with Robert for over 4 decades. And it was there, in that bed, in that space that had always been his, that I finally freed myself. Daniel touched me in a way I'd never been touched before. Carefully. With desire. With attention. He kissed every part of me slowly, like someone discovering a hidden treasure. And when we finally merged, when we finally became one, I cried. I cried with relief. I cried with guilt. I cried with freedom. Because for the first time in 67 years I was making love. Real love. Not obligation. Not duty. Not routine. Love. Afterward we lay side by side, sweaty and breathless, wrapped in silence. Daniel turned to me and said, "Leave him." I looked at him. "What?" "Leave Robert. Come with me." My heart stopped. "Daniel, you don't know what you're saying." "I do." He held my hand. "I know exactly what I'm saying. I want you, Helen. For real. Forever. And I know you want me too. But. There is no but. He sat up, propping himself on his elbow, looking deep into my eyes. You're not happy with him. You never were. And you deserve more. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to live. I closed my eyes. It's more complicated than that. It's only complicated because you're letting it be. He kissed my hand. Helen, I don't care about your age. I don't care what people are going to say. I don't care about any of that. I only care about you. I opened my eyes and saw the truth. Saw love. Saw a future. A future I'd never imagined. A future where I could be happy. I need to think, I said. He nodded. Okay. Think. But Helen. He held my face. Don't take too long. Life goes by fast, and I don't want us to waste any more time. Daniel left an hour later. I stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling, breathing in his scent still clinging to the sheets. And for the first time I imagined a different life. A life where I woke up next to him. A life where I truly smiled. A life where I was free. And the more I imagined it, the more I wanted it. The next 3 days passed in a trance. Robert was home talking, complaining, giving orders, but I barely heard him. It was like he was on the other side of thick glass. I saw his mouth moving, but the sound never reached me. My mind was somewhere else. With Daniel. In that afternoon in my bedroom. In those words. Leave him. Come with me. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Still, the fear was enormous. Fear of being alone. Fear of being judged. Fear of discovering that I wasn't strong enough to start over after all. Then, on Sunday night, everything collapsed. Robert was watching television in the living room. I was in the kitchen washing the dinner dishes when my phone vibrated on the table. I dried my hands on a towel and picked it up. It was Daniel. Helen, I need to see you tomorrow. Please. I was about to respond when I heard Robert's voice behind me. Who is it? I nearly dropped the phone. I turned, hiding the screen against my chest. Nobody. Just spam. He frowned. Spam doesn't send messages at night. My heart started racing. Robert, stop it. He stepped closer. Give me that phone. What? You heard me. Give it to me. I backed away. No. He moved fast, too fast. He ripped the phone from my hand before I could react. Robert, give that back to me. But he'd already unlocked it. Already reading. I saw his face change. Saw the anger rise. Saw his jaw clench. And when he looked up at me, I knew it was over. Who's Daniel? He asked, his voice low, dangerous. I couldn't answer. Who's Daniel? He shouted. I took a step back. Robert, calm down. Calm down. He threw the phone on the floor. The screen cracked. You're cheating on me and you want me to stay calm? The tears came, but this time they weren't from fear. They were from relief. Because finally, everything was exposed. I didn't want you to find out like this, I said, my voice trembling. He laughed, a bitter laugh full of venom. Oh no? And how did you want me to find out? Did you want to tell me in person? Did you want to tell me you're screwing some kid in my bed? I clenched my teeth. Don't talk like that. I'll talk however I want. He moved toward me again. You're my wife, Helen. Mine. I'm not. I shouted back. And it was the first time in 42 years I'd ever shouted at him. I was never yours. I was always nothing. Nothing to you. He stopped, shocked. What are you talking about? You never saw me, Robert. The tears kept falling. You never really looked at me. You never touched me with affection. You never asked if I was okay, if I was happy, if I wanted something. I spent 42 years being your maid, your obligation, your property. And I thought that was normal. I thought that was what marriage was. And it is, he shouted. No, I stepped forward. It's not, Robert. Marriage is partnership. It's companionship. It's looking at each other and seeing love. And we never had that. We never had anything. He shook his head, incredulous. You've lost your mind. No, I said quietly. I woke up. I wiped my face with the back of my hand. I woke up after 67 years of sleeping. And now I can't go back to sleep. Robert stood there, breathing hard, staring at me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. Because the woman he knew, The submissive woman, the quiet, invisible one, had died. In her place stood someone new. A woman who knew what she wanted. A woman who wasn't afraid anymore. "I'm leaving," I said. He blinked. "What?" "I'm leaving tomorrow." "You're not going anywhere." "I am." I met his eyes. "And you can't stop me." He stepped forward, threatening. "You think that kid's going to stay with you? You think he really wants you? You're 67 years old, Helen. You're old. You're ugly. You have nothing to offer." And in that moment I realized the truth. Robert wasn't angry because he loved me. He was angry because he'd lost control. Because for the first time I wasn't obeying. And that realization freed me completely. I smiled, a sad smile but a real one. "You're wrong, Robert. I have everything to offer. I have love. I have life. I have fire. And I have freedom." I went upstairs to the bedroom. That night I packed a suitcase. My clothes. My documents. The few savings I'd hidden in a cookie tin at the back of the closet. Robert stayed in the living room. He didn't come upstairs. He didn't try to stop me. When I finally closed the suitcase and looked around the bedroom where I'd spent 42 years of my life, I didn't feel sadness. I felt peace. The next morning at 6 a.m., I came downstairs with my suitcase. Robert sat in the armchair, wearing the same clothes from the night before. Red eyes. Exhausted face. "You're really going," he said. Not a question. A statement. "I am." He lowered his head. "I never imagined you were capable of this." I stopped at the door and turned back one last time. Neither did I. And I left. Daniel was waiting on the corner. He'd messaged earlier, saying he'd be there no matter what time it was. And there he was, leaning against his car, arms crossed, smiling that smile that had changed my life. When he saw me, he ran toward me, grabbed my suitcase, tossed it into the trunk and held my face in his hands. "You came." I smiled, really smiled. "I came." He kissed me right there in the middle of the street, in front of anyone who wanted to see. And I didn't care. For the first time I wasn't ashamed of being happy. We went to his apartment. Small. Simple. Nothing like the house I'd left behind, but it was his. It was ours. And it was free. He set my suitcase down and turned to me. "Are you sure about this?" I looked around, then at him and felt something I hadn't felt in decades. Hope. "I'm sure." He smiled and pulled me into his arms. And there, against his chest, I finally understood. Freedom wasn't about age or time or what people would say. Freedom was about choice. And I had chosen. I had chosen to live. To feel. To choose myself. For the first time in 67 years I was at peace. The following days were harder. Reality hit. Robert called again and again, angry messages, then pleading ones. "Come home, Helen. We can talk. I'll change. I promise." But I didn't go back. Because I knew he wouldn't change. Those words weren't love, they were fear of being alone. My children called too. Shocked. Furious. Embarrassed. "Mom, what did you do? How could you do this to Dad? You're with a man our age. How embarrassing." It hurt. Of course it did. But not enough to make me return to a life where I didn't exist. Daniel held me through it all. He hugged me when I cried. Made me laugh when I felt like I'd lost everything. Every day he reminded me I'd made the right choice. And slowly I began to believe it. 2 weeks later, Daniel took me to the beach. Not a crowded one. Just a quiet stretch of sand, the waves, and the setting sun painting the sky pink and orange. We walked hand in hand along the shore. "You know what I love about you," he said, stopping. "What?" "You're brave." I laughed nervously. "I'm terrified." He pulled me close. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you do it anyway." He kissed me as the waves washed over our feet, the wind tangling our hair. I felt complete. That night, back at the apartment, something shifted. We were eating Chinese takeout on the couch when he set his food down. "Helen, can I ask you something?" My heart skipped. "What?" "Do you regret it?" "Regret what?" "Leaving him. Choosing yourself. All of this." I cupped his face. "I regret wasting 42 years with a man who never saw me. I regret accepting crumbs when I deserved a feast. I regret staying silent for so long." Tears filled my eyes. But choosing you? Choosing myself? That's the one thing I'll never regret. He closed his eyes. A tear slipped down his cheek. I was so afraid you'd leave. I'm not going anywhere. He opened his eyes and what I saw there stopped my heart. Love. Helen, I love you, he said. I know it's fast. I don't care. I love your strength, your vulnerability, your courage, your fear. Everything. I whispered. I love you too. And I knew it was true. Not because he saved me, but because he saw me. That night we made love differently. Slowly. Tenderly. Without desperation. He kissed every inch of me, whispering, "You're beautiful. You're mine. I'm never letting you go." For the first time in my life, I believed I was worthy of love. The next morning, I woke before him and watched him sleep. His messy hair. His steady breath. This is real, I thought. This is my life. I went to make coffee and then it hit me. Nausea. Strong. Sudden. It wasn't the first time. I'd been tired. My body sore. My heart stopped as a thought formed. When was my last period? No, I whispered. That's impossible. I was 67. Long past menopause. But what if? Daniel came into the kitchen. Good morning, beautiful. I'm fine, I said quickly. Just didn't sleep well. That afternoon I bought 3 pregnancy tests. All 3 were positive. I sat on the bathroom floor, laughing and crying at once. Impossible. Terrifying. Miraculous. I hadn't told Daniel yet. How do you tell a 35-year-old man that you might be carrying his child? I didn't know. But deep down my body already did. He'll think it's impossible. I don't know what he'll do. And that's what terrifies me most. Sometimes I put my hand on my belly. There's nothing to feel yet. Nothing at all. But I put it there anyway. And I think, is this real? Is my body still capable of this? Is this a miracle? Or a curse? Because having a child at 67 is insane. People are going to talk. They're going to judge. They're going to say I'm crazy, that I'm too old, that I won't make it. That I'll die before seeing this child grow up. And maybe they're right. But at the same time, this is proof that I'm still alive. That my body still works. That I'm still fertile. A woman. Complete. In 3 days, I'm getting the ultrasound. In 3 days, I'll know if this is real. And if it really is, I'm going to have to make the hardest decision of my life. Those 3 days felt like 3 years. I moved through the apartment like a ghost, making breakfast, cleaning, pretending everything was normal. But nothing was normal. Because inside me there might be a life. A new life. At 67 years old. Daniel noticed something was wrong. Of course he did. Helen, are you sure you're okay? He asked one night as we lay in bed. I was curled on my side, staring at the wall. I'm fine. You're not, he said gently, moving closer, wrapping his arm around me. You've been distant. Quiet. What's going on? I wanted to tell him. God, I wanted to tell him so badly. But fear held my tongue. I'm just adjusting to everything, I said. It's a lot of change. He kissed my shoulder. I know. But we're going to be okay. I promise. I closed my eyes and prayed he was right. The day of the appointment came. I told Daniel I was going to the clinic for a routine checkup. Old lady stuff. Nothing important, that he offered to come with me. No, I said too quickly. It's boring. Just blood work and things like that. I'll be fine. He looked at me for a long moment, like he knew I was hiding something. But he didn't push. Okay. Call me if you need me. I nodded and left. The community health clinic was busy. Young mothers with crying babies. Pregnant women with swollen bellies. Teenage girls holding hands with nervous boyfriends. And then there was me, a 67-year-old woman who might be joining them. The irony wasn't lost on me. Helen Morrison, a nurse called. I stood and followed her down the hallway. She took my vitals, asked questions, scribbled notes on a clipboard, and then said, "The doctor will see you in a few minutes. Just wait here." I sat on the examination table, the paper crinkling beneath me, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Dr. Martinez came in about 10 minutes later. A young woman, maybe 40, with kind eyes and a professional smile. "Mrs. Morrison," she said, glancing at my chart. "I understand you think you might be pregnant." I nodded. She paused. Her eyebrows lifted. "You're 67? "Yes." She set the chart down and rolled closer on her stool. Mrs. Morrison, I won't lie to you. Pregnancy at your age is extremely rare, almost unheard of. She paused. But not impossible. My hands trembled in my lap. The home tests were positive, I said. Home tests can be unreliable at your age, she replied. But we'll do an ultrasound today. That will tell us definitively. She stood. Let's get you ready. I lay back, my shirt lifted, cold gel spread across my belly. Dr. Martinez moved the ultrasound wand slowly while I stared at the screen. Black and white shapes that meant nothing to me. She was quiet, focused. Then she stopped. There, she said softly, pointing. Do you see that flutter? I couldn't speak. That's a heartbeat. The world stopped. What? You're pregnant, Mrs. Morrison. About 8 weeks, I'd say. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't understand what she was saying. That's impossible. It's highly unusual, she said gently. But it's happening. She turned toward me, her expression serious. I need to be honest with you. A pregnancy at your age is extremely high risk, for you and for the baby. We're talking about preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, premature birth. I know the risks, I interrupted. She nodded. I'm referring you to a high-risk OB. You'll need constant monitoring. And ultimately, she hesitated. The decision of whether to continue this pregnancy is yours. But you need to think very carefully. I looked back at the screen, at that tiny impossible heartbeat. Tears streamed down my face. I left the clinic in a daze, sat in my car, stared through the windshield at nothing. I was pregnant, really pregnant, with Daniel's baby, at 67 years old. It was the most terrifying thing I'd ever faced, and the most miraculous. I drove for 2 hours. No destination. Just driving. Trying to think. Trying to decide. Keep it at 67 with all the risks, or end it. Both choices felt impossible. Both felt like they would destroy me. When I finally got home, Daniel was waiting on the couch, worry written all over his face. Helen, thank God. Where were you? I tried calling. I turned my phone off, I said quietly. He stood. What happened? What did the doctor say? I looked at him, this man who loved me, who gave me a second chance at life. Daniel, sit down. His face went pale. You're scaring me. Please. Just sit. He did. I sat beside him and took his hands. I need to tell you something, I said. And I need you to listen to everything before you say anything. Okay. He nodded. For the past few weeks I've been nauseous. Exhausted. I thought it was stress. But then my period didn't come. And I know I'm old. I know I'm past menopause, but... Helen, he whispered. What are you saying? I met his eyes. I'm pregnant. Silence. Complete. Absolute silence. You're what? I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. I had an ultrasound. Today. There's a heartbeat. He stood up, pacing, running his hands through his hair. That's not possible. I know. But it is. How? He turned to me. You're 67. I don't know how. The doctor said it's rare, but not impossible. He stopped suddenly. Is it mine? The words hit me like a slap. Of course it's yours, I said. Who else would it be? He sat down hard, burying his face in his hands. I'm sorry, he said. That was stupid. I can't process this. I know, I whispered. Neither can I. After a long silence, he looked up. What do you want to do? That was the question. I don't know, I said. I'm terrified. The risks are enormous. I could die. The baby could die. Everyone's going to think I'm insane. I looked at him. But this proves I'm still alive. That my body still works. That I'm still capable of creating life. And maybe this is my second chance. Daniel moved closer, took my hands. Helen, if you want to do this, I'm with you. Every step. You don't have to, but if you do, I'm not going anywhere. You really mean that? I love you. And if we're having a baby, then we're doing it together. I cried. And in that moment I chose. I was going to do this. But here's the thing about miracles. Sometimes they don't last. 3 days later, I woke up with sharp cramps low in my belly. When I went to the bathroom, there was blood. Daniel drove me to the ER at 2 in the morning. The doctor did another ultrasound. Then she turned off the screen. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Morrison. There's no heartbeat. My miracle was gone. They called it a miscarriage. Said it was common at my age. Said it wasn't my fault. But it felt like it was. I didn't leave the apartment for 2 weeks. Daniel tried everything. Food. Comfort. Words. Nothing helped. On the 3rd week, he sat beside me and said, Helen, you need to get up. Why? Because that's not who you are. I looked at him and finally saw his pain. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be sorry, he said. Just come back to me. Slowly I did. 6 months later, we went back to the beach. Do you regret it? I asked. He shook his head. Never. Today I'm 68. And here's the twist. Last week I went back to Dr. Martinez, and she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, Mrs. Morrison, you're pregnant again. And this time the heartbeat is strong. I haven't told Daniel yet. So I'm asking you, woman to woman. Should I tell him? Should I hope? Should I believe? Because life still knows how to surprise us. Even now,